Everybody, I hope you are safe. So for today we are going to deal with a new function. It's about responding to bad news and good news. So first, before we tackle these expressions, I'd like you to share, okay, with me the definition of good news. So what is good news? A good news is a pleasant or fortunate news. It is something that is encouraging, something that is uplifting. A good news used to express satisfaction with something or somebody, something that makes you happy. Example, a friend tells you, I have a good news for you. You are accepted in the job you have applied for. You applied for the job, and then your friend comes and brings you and tells you this good news, and he says, you are accepted in the job you have applied for. Now let's move now to the definition of bad news. What is a bad news? A bad news is an annoying or a disturbing or unwelcoming thing or person. It's any news that seriously affects an individual. Something that changes your mood from happiness to unhappiness. Imagine, for example, a person whose wife is in the operation room. She's undergoing an operation, and he is in the waiting room waiting for her with his fingers crossed and waiting for the doctor to tell him. Suddenly the doctor comes out of the operation room and he says, sorry to tell you that your wife is dead. So this is a bad news. Now, I'd like now to say which statement express good news and which ones express bad news. I will give you here some situations, and it's up to you to choose which one express good news and which one expresses bad news. Number one, we will get out of this confinement soon. Number two, I will take up my new job next week. 3. Bill and his wife have broken up, have divorced. Jane has lost her job because of the pandemic. The number of road accidents in our country has decreased remarkably. Irina's mother has passed away, has died due to the long battle with cancer. And the last one is, our country will organize next football cup. So these situations express different functions, either good news or bad news. So I'd like now to choose which one express good news and which one expresses bad news. Now let's move to number one. We'll get out of this confinement soon. It expresses good news because it's a good news. Imagine, for example, we are longing for going out of the house and starting our normal life. So it's a good news. I will take up my new job next week. I will start a new job next week. Imagine your friend tells you that he or she will take up her or his new job next week. So this is a good news. Imagine your friend tells you that Bill and his wife, your friends, have divorced. Of course, this is a bad news. Jane has lost her job because of the pandemic. This is a bad news. The number of road accidents in our country has decreased, remarkably reduced. It's a good news. Irina's mother has passed away, has died due to the long battle with cancer. You feel sorry. It's a bad news. Our country will organize next football cup. It's a good news. Now, I'd like now to respond to the following situations, whether they are good news or bad news. But here, we respond to good news now. Imagine, for example, someone tells you good news. So how do you respond to him or to her? You say, superb. Imagine someone, okay, a friend of yours tells you a good news. How do you respond to him or to her? You say, oh, superb. Or that's great, that's wonderful. Or wow, fantastic. Or congratulations, I congratulate you on your success or whatever. I'm happy or I'm glad to hear that. Really? I can't believe it. Sounds great. Great news. Incredible. What a splendid news, or what a fantastic news. So these are expressions that we use to respond to good news. When somebody tells you a good news, so you use these expressions to respond to him or to her. Now let's move to the expressions we use to respond to bad news. For bad news, we use expressions like, oh, that must be awful. Oh dear. I sympathize with you. Hard luck. Please accept my sympathy. My goodness. Poor you. Sorry to hear that. That's really awful. I know how you must be feeling. So these expressions, we use them to respond to bad news. When you hear a bad news, you use these expressions to respond to these bad news. Now, I'd like now to react to the following pieces of news. Your friend has just got a good job. I'd like now to react, to respond to this news, whether it is good news or bad news, okay? So, use expressions we use to respond to bad news or to good news. A friend of yours had a terrible accident. Your cousin had just got married. Your father has been dismissed from work. Your co-worker, okay? The company will promote all its workers next month. Thank you.